Hey, this is Pranav here, and today I want to talk about another big idea case study. So, what is a big idea? A big idea is your unique perspective that helps you stand out from the crowd so that you have a differentiated brand, so that you have a distinct brand and your communication, your content resonates with your ideal buyers so that you don't need to really have dancing reels on Instagram or TikTok or write aggressive LinkedIn hooks because it's the power of your message that helps you stand out and not really the volume of your content or the power of your hook. Now, every week I take one founder, one consultant, one expert, one coach, and try to break down their big idea. But for this particular week, I'm doing something a little different. I'm actually building my idea in public. So I realized I'll tell you like the whole genesis, the whole origin story. But the short version is that I realized okay that my big idea is not in place, and instead of working in the background, let me just work with you and actually figure out what I actually want to say and develop a compelling message. Okay, so a little, just to take you back, I was called out. Okay, I was called out by these two gentlemen. One is Joel Kelly and the second is Wes Wheelers. And they confronted me and they demanded, they said, "What is your big idea, Pranav?" And of course, I'm joking. I'm creating this drama because these guys are my friends. We are in the mastermind together, and they asked me with all the kindness in and love in their heart for me. They asked me this question. I could not really articulate it clearly, which is when I realized that okay, something is missing. To give you like a further context, at the start of so I spent a lot of my 2024 creating content for founders and consultants, coaches, etc. And I realized at the end of 2024 and at the start of 2025 that I want to stop being the content creator guy and help my clients with more strategic problems, with more upstream problems, because I realized that it's not really how many times you post, it's not really what you say, it's about who is saying it. It's about having a unique perspective to your content, to your brand that really helps you build a strong connection with your audience. I've felt the need to just pivot a little bit. I still offer content creation services, but I'm also offering is a big idea service where I work with my clients and help them identify the core thing that they want to say. So I jumped into it. I learned from my heroes like Tamsin Webster, Billy Bruaz, Lisa Cron, Jay Akunzo. From them, I learned storytelling, messaging, creating a narrative. I also, one of the other sources from where I've picked up a lot of my stuff is different movies, especially Pixar movies and their narrative structure. I developed a methodology and started helping clients. Now, while I was doing all of this, I conveniently forgot to refine my big idea. I have some idea about it, of course, but it wasn't there. It was not completed. I was still hesitating to go all in on it. I was still hesitating to find that one thing which I could say everywhere on my website, on my LinkedIn. The current status of my LinkedIn on my website is not very good because I'm just like all over the place. And I realized that okay, there is something missing. What is your big idea? I need to work through it. Of course, there were a few rationalizations. I was trying to convince Wes and Joel. I was trying to convince myself that hey, I'm already helping my clients with their big ideas, and I'm doing really well. They are very happy. They're very happy with my work. We are making some progress there. So why do I need a big idea? The other rationalization that I made was, hey, you know what? It's hard to find your big idea because you're too close to your expertise, which is true. And I do not have a coach right now. I do not have a big idea coach. So it is hard, and maybe the reason I'm struggling with it is because I'm too close to my expertise and I sort of know my big idea already. All of these rationalizations are maybe partially true because this is also true. Right? I mean, I have a certain direction in my mind, but I have just not like taken it towards the end. It's still, let's say, on step number 7 and not on step number 10. The realization was that okay, I cannot fool myself anymore. I do need that imperfect version of my big idea. Now, why am I documenting this journey? So, like I said, I cannot do this alone. You're my co-collaborator in this. What is the right English? Co-collaborator or collaborator? I'm not entirely sure. But it's hard to build your big idea because you're too close to your thinking, right? So I'm hoping that in this journey, in this process, maybe I get this process of narrating my story to you, maybe getting some feedback will help me really hone in on what I'm trying to say. And I also want to show you the messiness. Okay, so a lot of times We think that okay, all of this is like a super straightforward step one, step two, step three, step four, step five, done. Okay, it's really not that. It's when I work with my clients, there is like a ton of messiness, there is a ton of back and forth, there is a lot of discomfort because it's all about digging within you and not just about thinking of your audience. So where do we start? Well, let's start by defining what a big idea is. So the way I am defining it is a sort of a work in progress definition, but it's a unique perspective that challenges the status quo in your industry. And it's one idea which you think if your audience believes, their life will get better. And now, based on this big idea, the approach that you have, the products that you have, the services that you have, the big idea creates a foundation for all of this, right? My favorite example is Jonathan Stark, who has a big idea. Hourly billing is nuts, right? And all of his content, all of his brand is just revolves around this one central idea. So if you look at his email, if you look at his podcast, if you look at his LinkedIn, it just serves one core idea, which is hourly billing is nuts. I love Kim Scott and her idea of radical candor. One of the best examples is Simon Sinek, that for the longest time his brand was known as start with why. Of course, now he has gone into other things, but that was the core of his brand, and people remembered him for his distinct perspective, his unique perspective of start with why. A big idea bridges a gap. So you have something you want to say, you're not entirely sure what you exactly want to say, but you have a certain idea, just like how I am having right now. Like, I know something is wrong in the world of content, especially for soloists. And there is on the other end of the bridge, there is my audience who is a solopreneur, a coach, a consultant, an expert who is struggling to gain traction. So my job, the job of my big idea is to bridge the gap. It is to do two things. One, it should clearly articulate what I want to say. And two, it should also engage with the audience and give them an aha moment, because it should also show them a better way or show them a way that solves all their content problems. So in the next video, just watch me wrestle with my audience's problems, my frustrations with those problems. These are two different things, by the way. Like I said, a part of this is also the audience, right? A very big part of this is actually the audience, or in this case, my audience. But when I work with my clients, it is the client's audience, where we just try to articulate where the audience is at, what are they feeling. And the second step is my frustrations with those problems. So those are two different things, because the audience can have multiple problems, but what do I see that they are not seeing? What is my unique way? What should they do according to me, which will solve their problems? What is my personal frustration? Why do I feel like pulling my hair? That is what we will probably see in the next video. So watch out.